So I'm calling this talk "The Devil Gonna Getcha," and it's not with the intention of coming from a religious point or perspective regarding the devil. The reality is we have these forces and temptations in our world that are constantly seducing us into darkness, into dark states of being. And we all have experienced it. We've experienced anxiety and depression and obsessive thinking and addiction and um, inability to heal, feeling like we're victims. So these are all things that are blocking us from our true selves. And outside of experiencing joy and connection and to be of service to others, we're here to conquer this. We are in a war. This is the war within. And it's about understanding that this battle is going on inside each one of us every single day. And it's not about blaming and looking at everyone else's battle or the battles that we see in the external worlds that we've created together. It's about acknowledging my own battle. So when I think about the devil, I think about doubts and desires. I think about energy vampires. I think about violence, ignorance, and lies. So let me talk about doubts and desires. So doubts is fear. It's about not having faith, not having a connection with a sense of well-being and divinity within ourselves. We are constantly avoiding things and chasing things in order to try to control our lives and get the outcomes and the rewards that we seek that are pleasurable. And that's because of doubts, and also because we're so attached to our senses. And our brains are wired to seek that and also to protect us. If and it feels good, it must be good. That's on a very primitive level we're operating from. So many of us get caught in fear and desires, always seeking and always running away from or trying to avoid that which scares us. So this is something that if you look very closely and honestly at your day-to-day life and at how you wake up in the morning, you'll see the doubts. What is your attitude as you go through your day, as you start your day? I know for me, I have to do my own work and waking up and removing doubts and removing how I want my day to go, my desires of what I think it should be, and learn how to appreciate what shows up in front of me. So that's the D for devil. The E for energy vampires. Well, that's pretty much addiction. Addiction to things, people, places, and things that draw us away from our true self, our center point, our wisdom, that cause us to waste time, to fill ourselves with toxins, to live in fear, to do things, to ruminate and try to control things. These are all things that create a deficit in our energy. It sucks our life force energy, our prana, our chi out of us. And then we don't have energy to do or even hear the truth or even recognize the truth or the motivation to study and be self-aware. We just get caught in that whirlpool and we can't find ourselves, find the energy to climb out of that. So we have to be aware of all of the energy vampires around us, people, places, and things that we spend time doing and being with, that do not lift us up, that draw us down. So that could be the news, that could be a person, that could be our phones, that could be our obsession with our bodies. I mean, it's endless and it's all around us. And this is what all of the faith teachings, all of the sacred scriptures try to tell us is, do not be tempted by these things, because they only bring you dis-ease and unrest. We look for our answers and our numbness and our pleasure in all of these energy vampires. So it's a good thing to sit and have an honest conversation with ourselves and say, okay, what are the energy vampires in my life? And what can I do to begin, just to begin, first to be aware, and then to begin to take steps in removing those from our day to day. It's a tall order. It's not easy work, because we are attached to these energy vampires. So it's not a task that, happens overnight, and we need to have patience and compassion with ourselves. But first and foremost, honesty about this. The next is the V, violence. So that can be a trigger word for a lot of people. A lot of people would not call themselves violent. They're, a lot of us are not walking around cussing people out or, punching people in the face. But we have to look with a fine-tooth comb at our thoughts and our mindless actions and choices that are violent. And so there are varying degrees of violence. I might not be going out murdering somebody, but what about when I say something unkind to myself in my head? Or what about when I slaughter somebody in my mind because I think they're so X, Y, and Z? you know, that is violence. And the violence that if I'm feeding on that, that also creates dis-ease in me. It creates a disconnection from my true self, from my divine nature, which is what we all have inside of us. We have our human lower animal self, and we have our higher divine nature. And our mission is to go home to that true divine nature. So we must work on this violence every day to the best of our abilities. And again, this is not to create shame in us at all. This is just the truth. This is just what it means to be a human being. We have these lower vibrations that are easy to get lost in, that whirlpool effect of this world. So we truly need to be patient and kind and, self-correct with a gentle hand, not a shameful hand, and be aware of our violence. Be aware of our judgments. Be aware of our resentments. This is all forms of violence. And we need to get over getting caught up on certain words, that when people use certain words, like, we get all, uptight and offended if we say that this is violent, or that's a violent thought, because we don't want to think of ourselves that way. But that's part of our problem, is that if we don't identify and we're not honest about it, we can't do anything about it. We have to admit these parts to ourselves, our shadow parts, and violence is a big one. The next one is ignorance. So another trigger word. That was a real trigger word for me, and it's definitely a trigger word. It's a word that I used to be violent toward other people. I would make judgments and say, "Oh my God, there's so much ignorance there. Oh geez, why can't people see? Blah 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 blah." But here's the reality: unless we are awakened beings, and none of us are, um, maybe we're on our way and we're humbly practicing that, but we need to recognize that we don't know what we don't know, and there's so much to know. We can conceptualize perhaps virtuous traits and understand sacred scriptures, but the reality is we don't know a lot. We all have ignorance, and it's our mission to continue to learn, to continue to study, to continue to grow, to continue to practice, to continue to open our minds, because we get this rigid thinking, this black or white thinking. We think, oh, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way. No, 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 you don't know what you're talking about. Or, the minute we find ourselves doing that, that's when we're in danger, and the devil gonna get you. So it's very important to keep our minds open and to keep our minds growing, and follow what inspires you. Follow what makes you feel inspired, not what makes you feel good in terms of pleasure, or what makes you feel good in terms of even, you know, like a form of arrogance, like, oh, I understand this now. Oh, but more just inspired and uplifted and humble. So that's the I, ignorance. The last one is really important: lies. Lies, 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 lies. We are living in lies. All of us are living in lies. What is required in order to conquer living in lies? Honesty. And a lot of us just simply go along with the river, the whirlpool, perhaps, the grain of society, and all these beliefs about what we are supposed to be doing and what we're supposed to be valuing. And, we're being very dishonest about it. So collectively, we've created a world that values beauty, that values money, that values power, that values success and trophies and rewards and sex. That's what we've created. And maybe those things feel good in a moment, but it's never going to be enough, because the truth is, inside every single one of us, there is a divine aspect that is longing to be realized. And we try to numb that or fill that up with our addictions and our lies and our desires and our doubts. We try to fill that up. So we have to get honest with ourselves about, how am I living my life? What are the lies that I'm telling myself and others? That this big house makes me happy, that that I have no time to do X, Y, and Z. That's a lie. I have time if I choose to have time. But a lot of us are kind of stuck in this place where the devil gets us, where this buildup of fear, desires, energy depletion, violence, ignorance, and lies, it creates a person who feels angry, who feels lost, perhaps, who feels depressed, who feels like they're not good enough and that they don't have enough. So, and it sends us down deeper and deeper into this spiral. So I ask you to have a look at where the devil is showing up in your life, where these things are showing up in your life. And again, not looking at it through a lens of shame, but looking at it through a lens of oneness. Like, hey, we're all in this together. This is happening to every single one of us every single day. Every single day. Every moment it's there. There's a temptation, a seduction, a fear thought, an obsessive thought. So if we can stay conscious together about that reality, then maybe we can create our lives individually and then perhaps collectively to be lives that have less violence. Let's start with less. Let's start with less ignorance. Let's start with less depletion. Let's start with less lies. Let's just start with that. Just by being honest with ourselves about the reality of these dark forces within and around us that we create and feed together. We are feeding it. So what is the answer? What do we do with this? Well, the answer is God. Okay? That's the answer. God. You can call God whatever you want to call God. It doesn't matter. Your God can be whatever you want your God to be. And again, please try not to look at this from a point of religion. Look at it from a point of the fact that we all have godly nature, divine nature, sacred nature, goodness. God is goodness in us. We also have goodness and generosity. We come into this world, we wake up and we open up our eyes in the morning time, and we often say, what do I have to do? Oh, what do I have to do? And what am I going to get out of it? So instead, can we wake up with a spirit of goodness, a spirit of generosity? What can I do today? What can I create today in the spirit of generosity? What can I give today? Okay? Rather than being in this place of taking and needing and wanting and desiring. That's a big, tall order. A lot of us consider ourselves to be good people. Generally, we are, but we make choices that are not good, that spoon feed the devil, that spoon feed the doubts, spoon feed the desires, spoon feed the ignorance, spoon feed the violence, spoon feed the lies. So the answer to that is goodness and generosity. Also gratitude. That's a good one. Goodness, generosity, and gratitude. To say thank you and what can I give? What can I give? We're always out there running to get, running to prove our worth or our value. What can I do? What can I contribute? And not in a codependent way, but in a real, sincere way of being a good person, somebody in our divine nature, to recognize that we're all in this together. And I want to give my part. I want to be a part of the community of this world. What can I give? What I can give matters. What you can give matters. What can you give today? Next, oneness, openness. That's the solution. I need to understand that we are all connected. We are one. That all of our thoughts join together and create this reality we called life on earth. And we're out there being seduced by the devil and casting judgments on other people and feeling as if we're separate. Feeling as if we're not one. Acting as if other people's feelings, hopes, and opinions don't count. So in order to think about practicing this idea of remembering that we're one, we are one. We all are worthy. We all deserve respect, even when we are being seduced by the devil, even when we forget the truth of who we are, because we all forget. We all forget this because we're all seduced by these things. We're all seduced by our senses. We're all seduced by the lies and the ignorance and the violence and the desires. So we need to be open to this oneness. We need to be open-minded and open-hearted and think about what it is that I'm shutting down because I'm closed. What am I blocking because I'm being closed-minded, closed-hearted? And finally, the D, devotion, discipline, and divinity. Devotion, discipline, and divinity. Well, the word discipline used to annoy me because it's taken me quite a while to have more consistent discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about practicing being consistent. And we do that with a spirit of being devotional. Devotional to what? To the one truth. The one truth is what? That we're all divine. We are all divine. And so can I be devoted and disciplined with my thoughts and my actions so that I can walk this earth and come across others with respect and goodness and open-heartedness and a spirit of oneness? That's God. That's the God in me. That's what we're trying to realize. We are trying to become God realized. Or we can choose going after our desires. We can choose it. We can choose, we have choice. And often we do. We choose our desires or what we think we want. But it's all delusional. Another good one for D for devil. It's all delusional. It doesn't bring happiness. It brings emptiness, a void, a vacant soul. So these are things that I've been working on for a long time, and I will continue to try to practice these things. And again, with a spirit of goodness toward myself. I used to be so hard on myself, can still go there because of the doubts and the lies that my mind tells me. What I've come to understand, thank God, all of this, is that, hey, I'm in this. I'm in this body, I'm in this life, I'm in this world, I'm in these relationships. Where am I going? I don't need to be perfect. I need to take it one day at a time. And I need that my soul need to know that my spirit's not going anywhere either, that it's always there. And perhaps I can touch it and feel it sometimes. My yoga teacher, who I appreciate so much, Berta Perez, I am so grateful for finally understanding that meditation is such an important practice and path toward being able to realize these things, to be able to manage my mind, because it is my mind that creates all of the devil things anything related to devil. So I am so grateful to be able to invest some of my energy into meditation now. And trust me, I am willful and I struggle just like everybody does. We all do. But at least here we are. We're at, we're on the path. At one point, I was so far from the path, so far from the path. I was deeper in addictions. I was more seduced. I was more dishonest with myself. So it's a journey, and we're all walking alongside each other. Can we have compassion and know that that's what we're all doing? And eventually we'll all get there. And who am I to judge anybody at all for where they're at on their journey? I don't know their journey. I'm not God realized. If I were God realized, I would have such immense compassion for everybody. So maybe we can all aim to get there. Maybe we can be truly good natured, truly generous, truly grateful for everything that comes into our lives, truly open, truly one in oneness consciousness, truly devotional, disciplined, and divine. That went longer than I thought, but I am grateful to be able to speak what I call truth, because it reminds me, and I so desperately need the reminders every day. So thank you for letting me share. Namaste.